Hey everybody, welcome to Pod Style Studios. We're here with Anthony Johnson, professional photographer. So Anthony, we when we left off last time, we were talking about how you were living the life, taking photos of professional models, male and female, but you realized it was time to go into a different direction, more into corporate events. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, as glamorous as photographing models is, it doesn't really pay. And at the end of the day, my bills are more important than working with beautiful women and guys. So I transitioned into corporate photography. My main thing was, so I had to figure out my cost of doing business, right? And so at the end of the day, I had to make a certain amount of money, and I wasn't really doing that with models. And so for any aspiring photographers that's out there, the way you want to do this is you figure out all your bills. So that's one number, like your rent, insurance, electric, all that. Then you figure out your your expenses, like how much money you want to make. It's like, how much money do I want to have in my pocket to spend on going out or whatever, right? So you figure out all that number. Then you add that up, and once you have that bulk number, you're going to divide that by how many jobs you think you're going to have. And so a lot of people think they're going to be super busy, but the reality is you're not. And so that's how you come up with your pricing for whatever service you're going to do. So if, let's say that you have to make, I don't know, $100,000 for that year. Well, realistically, let's just say you're going to do 10 jobs. So each job, you're going to have to make at least $10,000. Right. And so 10 jobs, you're going to make $100,000. That'll pay all your bills. Well, that's not going to actually happen. So anyways, there's all that math you got to do to figure out what you're going to make. I was like, I need to make some money for rent. So I transitioned over to corporate event photography. And so I'm completely on my own. I don't have any marketing company. I don't have anybody. I started doing some networking events, trying to figure out what to do. And it was really slow at first, but I did get a couple of jobs here and there. And I know we didn't mention this, but when I first started photography, and I told my dad and my family, well, my dad laughed at me. He was like, "You need to get a real job." And so, of course, I had encouragement. And so when I did land one of my first corporate jobs, they wrote me a check for $9,980 something, whatever, right? And so it was like a 4 or 5 day event that I was shooting. And I took a screenshot of it, and I texted my dad. And I was like, "Hey, look." And he was like, "What's this for?" And I was like, "Someone decided to pay me some money for photography."
Good for you.
And so, he was like, I kind of put him in his place. So after I showed him that check, he kind of was like, "Okay, I'll support you on this," but whatever, right? So I transitioned to corporate photography. I was doing that for a while. It was slow at first, but it just gradually, I just took whatever I could and just kept going at it. And unfortunately, I still wasn't making enough to pay my bills, because in the corporate event photography arena, you have pretty much anybody and everybody, because there's no regulation. Like, anyone can buy a camera and then proclaim they're a photographer.
Sure.
And so then, even though as a professional and you're trying to actually make a living at this, you're competing against people who are hobbyists or a friend with a camera or whatever else. And it just makes it difficult. And so you really got to have stellar work and then you got to find those clients that want that work. A lot of what I was learning in the corporate or in the event space was that corporate or the event photos they're pretty much digest really fast. So they go online, they're digest, and then they're gone. Like, that's it, right? People consume it really fast. And I was pouring my heart and soul into these photos, getting really cool angles, editing the lighting and all that, like in post, because I had learned all this stuff through school. And the appreciation that I felt like I was getting was like minimal. They're just like, "Oh, this is a nice photo. Thanks." Boom, blast it, right? And so I wasn't getting paid very much. I wasn't making they were I would get lucky if I could find someone to pay me $100 an hour. Like, I was getting lucky for that.
Right.
Some jobs were like $150 an hour. I was trying to charge around $200 to $300 an hour, because at that rate, I could actually make a living off of that rate. So because I wasn't feeling like they really appreciate what I was putting into it, and they were kind of lowballing me, I decided to transition into headshots. And so the reason why I went into headshots was, for one, I liked working with people anyways.
Right.
And for two, they actually have skin in the game. So now it matters if my photo is good, because because it's not just a photo of like an event where there's a lot of people in it. It's a photo of them, and they're gonna tell me if they like it or not. You know, so that's how I transitioned over into corporate headshots. And so I just started shooting headshots, and then we got hit with the pandemic. I don't know if people heard about that. So I got hit with the pandemic, and so that made it really tough. And the way I got through the pandemic was I would go online. So first, I would have people that were okay coming over to my house. I had a little studio set up in the living room.
Right.
And so as long as they were okay, of course we did our distancing thing and the mask and all that. They came in and then we did the session. So I got a couple of clients that way, which was cool. And they loved the headshot, obviously. But to really survive, what I had to do was I went online and I was looking at different websites, different companies, and I was looking at their About Us page. And then, their About Us typically has like our team. So I was looking at their team, and any company that had a lot of different backgrounds, I would reach out to them and say, hey, I can fix that. And so because I have a couple of certificates in like digital artistry and retouching, what I could do is I could knock out the background and then replace it with a solid color background, which would then create this uniformity across all of the photos. And so people like that, or companies like that. So that's what I did. I contacted these companies, said, hey, I'll charge you like say $50 a photo, and I'll fix all these photos for you. And I'd get paid a couple of $1,000 here and there. And that allowed me to pay my rent and survive just to get through the pandemic, because as you know, we were all shut down.
Right.
We were all told we couldn't work. And so as someone who's self-employed, like I can't really rely on the government. I don't have other backups. Like I have to work. So that's how I got through that pandemic. Once that was over, clients started coming in a little bit easier, and I updated the website. And I think this is around the time that where we met. You were looking for some headshots for your team.
Right.
And I guess you saw my website, and you came into my studio, which was my apartment studio.
Yeah.
So I had transitioned like the whole living room into just a studio space.
Yeah.
Then the reason why I did that was because I felt that if a client came in, because I did a lot of home visits during the pandemic and whatnot, and I felt that if I had a studio space, you're coming into my space. If I had couches and TVs and like it would feel weird for you coming into like my home. Right. Where if I went to your home, that's your home, you're familiar to you, it wouldn't really matter that much. So that's why in my apartment, I converted my living room into just a studio space, so that way you guys would be comfortable. So you guys come in and then took care of you with your headshots. And then, of course, as you know, my process is a lot of photographers, they'll just shoot like 15 or 20 shots and then you pick out your favorites. Where my process was, I don't do that. I shoot and I work individually with each person to make sure that they like their photo. So you're getting real-time feedback.
Right.
And you're telling me what you like and don't like. And then based off of that is what if you, you want this way or you want that way or whatever it is, that way I'm crafting a photo per what you want.
So here's an interesting question, and this goes for me as well. When do you suggest a client come back for a refresh?
So anytime there's a major change in your appearance, like let's say you lost a lot of weight, definitely come in. You change your hair color for women, like they got a new hairstyle or whatever, come in for that. Because what you want to do is you want to have a professional photo that represents you how you currently look. So that way if you're out, let's just say you're doing networking, right? Or you have a board meeting or a business, whatever. People will see your photo online and they're like, oh, that's what he looks like or she looks like. But then when they meet you in person, and if you have green hair but you didn't in your headshot, that's going to throw them off. So you want to always stay current with how you currently look. So there's not necessarily a hard rule on that, but it's a good idea every 2 years, 3 years, something like that.
Do you get clients that are, I would imagine most of your clients are easy to work with. You ever get any Bridezillas?
I actually had a guy that come through, and he literally was like, it's really funny too. So he comes in, we shoot a couple of angles, and so the first 3 shots, boom, 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 and he had like a checkered shirt on, not checkered, but like a patterned shirt with a jacket on. And we get this one really cool shot, and I've been doing this for a while. I spot him like, oh, that's a really good one. And he's like, yeah, I like that. We literally go through like 4 outfits like 45 minutes later going through all of these different shoots. And then when we get down to the process of elimination of figuring out which one he really likes, he goes back to that first one that we shot.
Right. Well, I remember when I came in, I had like 3 different outfits. I just chose one, and that was it.
Well, right. Well,
And that worked for me.
yeah. For my clients, so what I like to do is I have them bring however many wardrobes they want to come in, and we can just shoot real quick what they look like, so that way you can see what they look like on camera. Because at the end of the day, a headshot represents you, and I want you to feel comfortable with your headshot, because again, it's a representation for you.
Right.
You know. So.
Right. So technology's changing, right? And so certainly in the last couple of years, AI has affected everything. How do you think, and I'm seeing a trend, everybody's seeing a trend of these AI generated headshots, especially on LinkedIn. What do you think about that?
So I think that there will always be a market for I guess AI headshots. So headshots in let me start over. So headshots in general, you have a lot of different clients. Actually, you have three types of clients. You have one that's like they don't care what their headshot looks like.
Right.
They just want a headshot. They have like the second client is like, it's whatever, it's cool. They kind of care, but they don't care. And then you have a third client, which is like going to be your high-level executive. They know why it matters to have a good headshot. Mm-hmm. So those guys typically are top brass, or they're marketing companies, or they have some kind of PR piece written. Like their photo is going to be in the forefront and be seen by a lot of people. Those whose photo is not going to be seen, or think that's not going to be seen by a lot of people, then they don't care. AI is good for them. The reality is that everybody is going to see your headshot, especially with social media. Social media, people have access more than ever to see people's photos. And if you use an AI headshot, it can be fine for like a personal profile for where it's not a business related, but in a business related like LinkedIn atmosphere, using an AI headshot kind of screams that you're fake, you're not authentic, you're hiding something, or there's just something like unrealistic about you.
You know, right? I find it very convenient, but I also, if it's very convenient, that means you're not putting a lot of effort into it.
Sure.
And if you're not putting effort into how you're presenting yourself to the world, that says something about you. Whereas if you go to a professional, it's not just the money, it's the time, it's the focus.
Well, people want to see that you're able to invest. So people want to do business with you if they see that you'd invest in them. And if you can't even invest in a professional headshot for yourself, why would you invest in me?
Right.
You know what I mean? Not only that, but then the other thing is like they want to see authenticity. They want to see a real person. They don't want to see some avatar that's fake or pretending to be something else.
Right.
So I asked this. So I was at a networking, and I asked this. We had this AI conversation. I asked him. I was like, "So what do you think about AI headshots?" He's like, "Oh, I love it. I have one. Blah blah blah." And I was like, "Okay, let me ask you this. You single?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Would you use an AI headshot for your dating profile?" He's like, "No." Why not? Because it's not. My point exactly.
Right.
My point exactly.
Right. Right. So what do customers get from Anthony Johnson where the experience that they're not going to get anywhere else? Because you're not Glamour Shots. No. You're not Olin Mills from back in the 80s. You provide a really boutique experience and provide a really great product. What is it that sets you apart from everybody else?
Well, so there's a couple things when looking at a photographer that you want to look at. First, their style. Every single photographer has a different style, except I'm going to get blasted, except for the Peter Hurley headshot, because Peter Hurley is an amazing guy. Maybe I shouldn't call him out. Maybe, can we edit that? But anyways, he's a photographer out in New York who specializes in headshots, and he's genius because he created this triangle lighting pattern that really illuminates the face really nice. And that's his style. That's his signature lighting style. He's now taught a bunch of students his style. So now you can't tell the students apart from Peter.
Right.
Which, if as a photographer, I would think you would want to have your own unique style.
Because that kind of it dilutes the value.
Well, I mean, because it's not yours. It's someone else's. You learn someone else's thing.
Right.
You know, so it is what it is. But for me, I have my own style that I developed, and it's kind of like it's a modern, classic portraiture type of style with clean, soft lighting. I use a big old giant umbrella, and it provides soft light. And I find that soft light really helps with my clientele. It basically it brings out their really good features while hiding any potential blemishes, right? And it just makes people look really good.
Right.
But besides my lighting style that I have with my photos, the experience that a customer has, and you know this firsthand, the experience that a customer has is unique in itself, where you get to you are a part of the image creation. Where, like I mentioned before, photographers, they come in, boom, boom, boom. Here's your selection, and you had no say in how you were shot. You just had to go based off of what they told you to do. Where with my experience, first I come in, I'm making you feel easy, relaxed. I'm talking with you. We're having a conversation. We're just shooting the breeze, whatever, and that helps relax you, because most people do not like being in front of a camera. And so now that you're relaxed and you have that rapport with me, and you're feeling a little bit more comfortable, and we're just talking about whatever. Those little moments as I'm posing you and doing what I need to do, and then I make you laugh, you smile a little bit, boom, got a photo.
Right.
And then that's an authentic smile. And so it's just going through that process that's a lot different.
Well, I can tell you, as a client of yours, one thing I really appreciate is you are very quick to respond.
Oh yeah.
If you reach out to you, if I need something, certainly on email, excuse me, you're right there. I don't have to wait 2 or 3 days.
That probably has to do with my military background.
Yeah.
Because I was in the military before all of this started, and one of my philosophies is again from the military is we show up and wait. So I'm always ready. I never want the client waiting. Like, never want a client waiting. I'll be there 15 minutes early. I have no problem waiting and being ready for you, so that way you get the best service possible.
Right.
Same thing with emails.
Got it. Well, one last question, Anthony.
Sure.
If you could talk to your 20-year-old self,
Oh man.
and what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Don't talk to that girl. No. I wish I could go back in time. So 20 years ago, I had the itch to learn photography, but I just didn't have the money for a camera. I wish I could go back in time. Actually, even further back, like I took a class in high school that was photography, where this is how old I am. We had a dark room, and we had to actually develop film in chemicals and stuff. I wish I could go back to that time and say, hey, follow this, pursue this. This is going to be your thing, moving forward. And I wish that I would have listened to that, because there were so many times where I wanted to do photography, but I was scared to,
Right.
because I didn't have the money to get into it. So I would just say, just do it. Just do it.
Got it. Well, Anthony, how does someone get a hold of you?
Yeah, so real easy. You can go to my website, which is anthonyjohnsonphotography.com. You can hit that contact form. That goes straight to my email. You could also, I guess you can call or text. I do have because there's so many robot calls, so it'll go to voicemail.
Yeah.
But the number is 512-456-8040, so they can reach me that way. Right. But again, just go to the website. All that information is there. I got Instagram, where I believe it's AJ_photos_headshots. And and I'm on LinkedIn as well.
All right. So anybody that wants to present themselves to the world in a professional way, they come to you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.